Jin stood at the viewport of the Earth ship, watching as the massive Valen mothership grew larger against the backdrop of stars. His heart beat faster, but his face remained calm. As humanity's first ambassador to the Valen Empire, everything depended on making a good impression. "Final approach in 5 minutes, Ambassador," said the pilot. Jin nodded and straightened his simple blue uniform. Earth's leaders had chosen him for his calm nature and quick thinking. He had studied the limited information they had on the Valens for months. They were a proud species with advanced technology and ruled by a queen. The docking procedure went smoothly. Jin took a deep breath before stepping through the airlock. 4 tall Valen guards waited for him. They had bluish skin, large eyes, and moved with surprising grace despite their height. "Follow us, human," said one guard. "Queen Minna awaits." The halls of the Valen ship were high and curved, filled with a soft purple light. Jin noticed the other Valens stopping to stare as he passed. Some looked curious, others seemed afraid. After a long walk, they reached a set of massive doors that slid open silently. The throne room beyond was spectacular, a vast chamber with a ceiling that seemed to display the galaxy itself. At the far end sat Queen Minna on an elevated crystal throne. Jin approached and bowed as he had been instructed. When he looked up, he found himself meeting the gaze of the Valen Queen. She was taller than the others, with more elaborate markings on her blue skin and eyes that seemed to see right through him. "So this is a human," said Queen Minna, her voice clear and musical. "You are smaller than I expected." Jin smiled. "We come in many sizes, Your Majesty. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." The Queen tilted her head. "There are many stories about humans in the galaxy. Some say you can survive conditions that would kill most species. Others claim you have hidden powers that appear when you are in danger. We are a young species, Your Majesty. Much of what you've heard is likely exaggerated." A Valen advisor leaned close to the Queen and whispered something. The Queen's expression changed slightly. "My advisor Tai tells me that humans have survived on planets where other species cannot. Is this true?" Jin nodded. "We adapt well, Your Majesty. Earth has many different environments, from freezing cold to burning hot. We've learned to live in most of them." The Queen stood, towering over Jin. "Show me your hands, human." Jin held out his hands. The Queen stepped down from her throne and approached him. The guards tensed, but she waved them away. She took his hands in her long, slender fingers, examining them closely. 5 digits, she said. "And these marks." She traced a line on his palm. "Just natural creases in our skin, Your Majesty." She released his hands and circled him slowly. "You breathe oxygen, like we do." "Yes, though we can tolerate different mixtures and pressures than you might be used to." The Queen returned to her throne. "You will stay as our guest. I wish to learn more about humans and your planet Earth." Jin bowed again. "It would be my honor." Later, Jin was shown to private quarters. The room was beautiful but clearly designed for Valen physiology. The bed was too long, the chairs too high. As he looked around, there was a soft chime, and the door slid open. A smaller Valen entered, carrying various items. "I am Sue," she said. "I have been assigned to assist you during your stay." She put down a device on a table. "This will adjust the atmosphere to better suit human needs. Is it true humans need to sleep for a third of each day cycle?" Jin smiled. "Yes, that's true. We call it sleep. Our minds need time to rest." Sue looked fascinated. "The Queen has many questions about humans. Some of our scientists believe the stories about your kind are just myths, but others think there must be truth behind them." "What stories do you mean?" Jin asked, sitting down on the edge of the too large bed. "That humans can continue functioning after severe injury, that you can survive without food for many days, that you have an ability called adrenaline that gives you extraordinary strength when needed." Sue placed some food containers on a table. "The most interesting myth is about something called the Awakening, a state where humans access hidden powers. Jin laughed softly. We do have adrenaline, but it's not magic. It's just a chemical our bodies produce when we're in danger. As for the awakening, I've never heard of it. Sue looked disappointed. The Queen believes many of these stories are false, but she is still curious. After Sue left, Jin sent a message back to Earth, reporting on his first meeting. He ended by noting the Valens seemed to have strange ideas about human capabilities. This might be useful in negotiations, he thought. The next morning, a loud alarm jolted Jin awake. Red lights flashed in his room. Sue burst in, looking panicked. Ambassador Jin, there is an emergency. The Queen requests your presence immediately. Jin quickly dressed and followed Sue through corridors now filled with hurrying Valens. They reached the throne room, which had transformed into a command center. Screens showed what looked like a massive storm approaching the ship. Queen Minna saw him and gestured him forward. Ambassador, your ship detected this energy storm before our sensors did. How is this possible? Jin looked at the readings. Our ships are designed to detect subtle space disturbances, Your Majesty. It's something we developed after several close calls early in our space exploration. The Queen looked at him with new interest. Then perhaps there is truth to some of the stories. You will join my advisors in planning our response to this storm. Let us see if human adaptability is as remarkable as claimed. Jin nodded, already studying the storm data. The real test of humanity's worth to the Valen Empire was about to begin. The energy storm passed without causing major damage to the Valen mothership, but Queen Minna had been impressed by Jin's suggestions during the crisis. 3 days later, she summoned him to what the Valens called the testing grounds, a large, circular chamber deep within the ship. Jin arrived to find the Queen standing with several advisors. The chamber was divided into different sections, each looking like a different environment. Ambassador Jin, Queen Minna said, her voice echoing in the large space. I wish to better understand human capabilities. My people have prepared some challenges for you. Jin looked around cautiously. What kind of challenges, Your Majesty? Nothing that would cause permanent harm, she assured him. We simply want to observe how humans respond to different situations. Jin nodded, though he felt uneasy. I'll do my best. The first challenge was in a section designed to look like a desert. The temperature was uncomfortably hot, and Jin could feel sweat forming almost immediately. This chamber is set to the temperature of our colony world Kai, explained Ta, the Queen's advisor. Most species cannot function in this heat for more than a few minutes. Jin wiped his brow. It's hot, but similar to some regions on Earth. What am I supposed to do? Simply solve the puzzle before you, said Queen Minna, pointing to a complicated mechanical device in the center of the sandy area. Jin approached the device. It was a series of interlocking metal pieces that needed to be rearranged to form a specific pattern. The metal was hot to the touch, but Jin worked steadily, ignoring the discomfort. After 15 minutes in the heat, he completed the puzzle. The Valens watching him murmured in surprise. Most interesting, said Queen Minna. You appear uncomfortable, but still fully functional. Jin smiled weakly. Humans are good at working through discomfort when necessary. The second challenge took place in a cold chamber. Jin was given a thin jacket, but the temperature was well below freezing. His task was to build a small shelter using only the materials provided, some metal rods and thin sheets. His fingers grew numb, but Jin worked systematically. He had done winter survival training before becoming an ambassador. Within 20 minutes, he had constructed a basic but effective shelter. Queen Minna watched with growing interest. You are shivering, yet you continue to think clearly. Explain this. Jin rubbed his hands together for warmth. Humans evolved to handle temperature changes. Our bodies try to maintain a constant internal temperature even when the outside environment changes. The third challenge was different. Jin was led to a section filled with obstacles and told to reach the other side as quickly as possible. As he started, bright strobe lights began flashing, and loud, disorienting sounds blared from hidden speakers. Jin paused, feeling dizzy from the sensory overload. Then he took a deep breath, focused his eyes on the ground directly in front of him, and began moving forward methodically. He stumbled several times but kept going until he reached the end. The lights and sounds stopped. Jin looked up to see Queen Mina staring at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Most species become completely disoriented under such conditions," she said. "How did you maintain your direction?" Jin shrugged. "I focused on one small area at a time and kept moving. Humans are good at filtering out distractions when we need to." The Queen turned to her advisors and spoke in their language. Jin couldn't understand the words, but he could tell they were surprised by something. The final challenge was in a room filled with complex mathematical equations projected onto floating screens. Jin was told to solve as many as possible in 30 minutes. Some equations were beyond his knowledge, but Jin worked through the ones he understood. When time ran out, he had solved about half of them. Queen Mina seemed pleased rather than disappointed. "You did not complete all the problems." "No, Your Majesty. Some were beyond my training." "Yet you admitted this limitation instead of attempting to hide it. Most interesting." The Queen approached him. "You did not display any special powers or abilities during these tests." Jin smiled. "As I said, humans don't have magic powers. We're just adaptable." "Perhaps," said the Queen. "But there is something unusual about how your mind works. You approach problems differently than we do." Later that evening, Jin was invited to dine with Queen Mina and a small group of her advisors. The food was strange but not unpleasant, and Jin did his best to follow Valen eating customs. "Ambassador," said Queen Mina during the meal, "today's challenges were revealing. You showed physical endurance, problem-solving skills, and what my scientists call psychological resilience. Is this common among humans?" Jin considered the question. "To varying degrees, yes. All humans have these basic traits, though some develop them more than others." Sue, who was serving at the dinner, leaned forward with interest. "Is it true that humans can enter a state called flow where time seems to change?" Jin nodded. "That's what we call it when we're so focused on a task that we lose track of time. It's not magical, just deep concentration." Queen Mina exchanged glances with Ta. "There is a concept in our oldest legends called the awakening, a state where one's full potential is unleashed. Your flow sounds similar." "Perhaps," Jin said carefully, "though I think your legends might exaggerate what it actually is." After dinner, Queen Mina took Jin to a large observation deck. The stars stretched out before them, beautiful and endless. "Tomorrow," she said, "there will be one final test. My advisors believe you have not yet shown your true capabilities." Jin looked at her curiously. "What kind of test?" "One that will push you to your limits," she replied. "We wish to see if the human awakening is real or merely a myth." "I've tried to explain that we don't have special powers," Jin said with a sigh. Queen Mina's large eyes reflected the starlight. "Perhaps you do not recognize your own uniqueness, Ambassador. Tomorrow, we shall see what humans are truly capable of when faced with a genuine crisis." As Jin returned to his quarters, he couldn't help feeling worried. The Valens seemed determined to find something extraordinary about humans. He wondered what kind of crisis the Queen had planned, and whether he could live up to her mysterious expectations. Jin woke to the sound of alarms blaring throughout the Valen mothership. Red emergency lights flashed in his quarters as he jumped out of bed. He quickly put on his uniform and rushed to the door, only to find it wouldn't open. "Ambassador Jin." Sue's voice came through the communication system. She sounded frightened. "There's been a terrible accident in the ship's power core. Several sections are losing life support, including the royal chambers." "Is this the test Queen Mina mentioned?" Jin asked, suspicious of the timing. "No, this is real." Sue's voice cracked with panic. "The Queen and her advisors are trapped in a section where the air is becoming toxic. Our rescue teams can't reach them because of radiation leaks in the surrounding corridors." Jin's training kicked in. Can you open my door? I might be able to help. The door slid open moments later. Sue stood there, her blue skin looking paler than usual. Humans have different radiation tolerances than Valens. Could you possibly? I'll try, Jin said. Show me the quickest route to the Queen. Sue led him through chaotic corridors filled with Valens rushing in all directions. Emergency barriers were dropping into place, sealing off different sections of the ship. The life support systems are failing in sections 12 through 16, Sue explained as they ran. The Queen was in section 14 when the accident happened. The radiation isn't immediately fatal to humans, but it would cause severe damage to Valen cellular structure. They reached a sealed doorway where several Valen technicians worked frantically at control panels. One of them looked up as Jin approached. The human ambassador. What is he doing here? I'm here to help, Jin said firmly. What's the situation? The lead technician, named Du, pointed to a diagram of the ship. The Queen and 5 others are trapped here. The connecting corridors are flooded with radiation from the damaged power conduits. Our protective suits aren't designed for these levels. Jin studied the diagram. How long would I have in there before the radiation becomes dangerous for humans? Based on what we know of human biology, perhaps 15 minutes, Du said. But the air is also contaminated with core particles. You would need a breathing apparatus. Sue handed Jin a mask-like device. This will filter the air, but it's not perfect. The particles will still cause irritation to your eyes and skin. Jin took the mask. Is there a manual override for the sealed doors? Du showed him how to use the emergency release. Once you reach the Queen, guide them to emergency shaft 7. It's a maintenance tunnel that bypasses the worst radiation zones. We'll be waiting at the other end. Jin nodded, put on the mask, and approached the sealed door. The Valens watched with a mixture of hope and doubt as Du released the lock. Good luck, Ambassador, Sue said softly. The door slid open, releasing a cloud of faintly glowing particles. Jin stepped through and the door sealed behind him. The corridor was dim, lit only by emergency lights. Jin's eyes immediately began to sting from the particles in the air. He moved quickly, following the route he had memorized from the diagram. The radiation detector on his wrist beeped steadily, warning him of the danger but showing levels still within human tolerance. As Jin reached the first junction, he heard a loud groan of metal from somewhere above. The ship was becoming unstable in this section. He needed to hurry. After several minutes of navigating the hazardous corridors, Jin reached the sealed door to section 14. He found the emergency release and pulled it. The door opened halfway, then stuck. Jin squeezed through the gap and found himself in what appeared to be a meeting room. Queen Mina and 5 other Valens were huddled at the far end, covering their mouths with pieces of cloth. Ambassador Jin. Queen Mina's eyes widened in surprise. How did you get here? No time to explain, Jin said, his voice muffled by the mask. We need to leave immediately. Follow me to emergency shaft 7. One of the advisors, Tai, stepped forward. The radiation levels are too high in the corridors. We cannot survive passage. I know a route that minimizes exposure, Jin insisted. Trust me. Queen Mina studied him for a moment, then nodded. Lead us, Ambassador. Jin guided the group back through the stuck door. His eyes were burning badly now, and his skin felt like it was on fire. The radiation detector was beeping more rapidly as levels increased. They had less time than estimated. The group moved as quickly as possible through the hazardous corridors. 2 of the Valens began coughing violently, and Jin gave them his mask to share, taking turns breathing filtered air. His lungs burned with each breath of the contaminated atmosphere, but he pushed forward, focusing only on the route ahead. When they reached a junction where the ceiling had partially collapsed, Jin had to clear debris to create a path. His hands blistered from touching metal heated by the damaged power conduits, but he worked without stopping. How are you still functioning? Queen Mina asked, watching him with amazement. The toxins should be affecting your nervous system by now. Jin managed a pained smile. Human stubbornness, Your Majesty. They finally reached emergency shaft 7. Jin pried open the access panel, revealing a narrow maintenance tunnel. This will lead to safety. The radiation levels are much lower inside. One by one, the Valens climbed into the shaft. Queen Minna went last, turning to Jin before entering. You are experiencing what we call the awakening, Ambassador. Your body should have failed by now, yet you continue. Jin shook his head, fighting dizziness. It's just adrenaline and training, Your Majesty. The Queen disappeared into the shaft, and Jin followed, pulling the panel closed behind him. The air in the shaft was clearer, and Jin took deep, grateful breaths despite the pain in his lungs. They crawled through the narrow space for several minutes before reaching another panel. Jin pushed it open, revealing a group of anxious Valens waiting with medical equipment. As the Queen and her advisors emerged, medical staff rushed to attend to them. Jin was the last to exit, stumbling as he tried to stand. His vision was blurring, and every muscle in his body screamed with pain. Sue caught him as he fell. "Get a medical team here now," she shouted. Jin's last conscious sight was Queen Minna looking down at him with an expression of wonder and respect. He woke 3 days later in the Valen Medical Bay. Sue was sitting nearby and quickly moved to his side when she saw he was awake. "You saved the Queen and her advisors," she said. "The ship's systems have been repaired, but everyone is talking about what you did." Jin tried to sit up, wincing at lingering pain. Was that the test the Queen mentioned? Sue shook her head. "No, the accident was real. Queen Minna says you have shown her what humans are truly capable of. She calls it the awakening, though you might call it something else." Jin lay back, too tired to argue about terminology. Whatever the Valens wanted to call it, he had simply done what any human would do in a crisis. Perhaps that was extraordinary enough. Jin sat in the Valen Royal Garden, a specially designed area within the mothership that contained plants from various worlds. His body was still healing from the radiation exposure, but the Valen doctors had been amazed at how quickly humans recovered from injury. Queen Minna entered the garden, her tall figure moving gracefully between the exotic plants. Jin tried to stand to greet her, but she gestured for him to remain seated. "Ambassador, I am pleased to see you recovering," she said, sitting on a bench across from him. "Our medical team says you should have been unconscious for at least 2 weeks, yet here you are after only 5 days. Jin smiled. "Human bodies are good at healing, Your Majesty, though I still feel quite sore." The Queen studied him with her large, expressive eyes. "I have been researching your species since the accident. The information you provided about Earth has been most illuminating. I believe I misunderstood something fundamental about humans." "What's that?" Jin asked. "I was looking for a special power or ability, this awakening from our legends. But now I see that the remarkable thing about humans is not one special ability, but rather how your ordinary abilities combine in extraordinary ways." Jin nodded. "That's a good way to put it. We're not stronger or faster or smarter than many species. We're just adaptable." Queen Minna leaned forward. "Explain to me what happened in your body during the rescue. Our scientists detected unusual chemical changes in your blood when we treated you." "That would be the adrenaline and other stress hormones," Jin explained. "When humans face danger, our bodies release chemicals that prepare us for extreme effort. Our hearts beat faster, we breathe more rapidly, and our muscles get a temporary boost of energy. A biological response to crisis," the Queen said thoughtfully. "Not magic or special powers, but a natural process." "Exactly. It's something that evolved over thousands of years as our ancestors faced predators and natural disasters." Queen Minna rose and walked to a small pool in the center of the garden. Jin followed her slowly, his legs still weak. "Look," she said, pointing to a small creature swimming in the water. It changed colors as it moved, blending with different rocks and plants. "This is a cater from our homeworld. It changes its skin to hide from predators. A simple biological response, yet it seems magical to those who don't understand it. Jin watched the creature with interest. That's a good comparison. What humans do probably seems special to you, but it's just how we evolved. The queen turned to face him. I have requested access to human historical records. Your advisor Sue has been helping me understand your species better. Jin raised an eyebrow. What have you learned? That humans have endured much suffering throughout their history. Wars, plagues, natural disasters. Yet you always rebuild, adapt, and continue forward. Her voice held a new respect. This resilience, this refusal to surrender, is what our legends call the awakening. Later that day, Jin found himself in a large chamber he hadn't seen before. It looked like a historical archive, with images and artifacts displayed along the walls. Queen Mina and several of her advisors, including Tai and Sue, waited for him there. This is our Hall of Memory, the queen explained. It contains the history of the Valen people. She led Jin to a section showing ancient stone carvings. These are from 10,000 years ago, when our people first encountered other intelligent species. Jin examined the carvings closely. They showed tall, Valen-like figures meeting with various alien beings. One carving caught his attention, beings that looked somewhat similar to humans, standing with the Valens. Who are these? He asked, pointing to the human-like figures. The predecessors, Tad explained, a species that visited our world long ago and helped our ancestors during a time of great crisis. They possessed what we call the awakening, the ability to push beyond normal limitations when needed. Queen Mina touched the carving gently. The predecessors vanished 5,000 years ago. Many believe they were just legends, or that their abilities were exaggerated in our stories. But now I wonder if they were similar to humans. Jin looked at the carving with new interest. It's possible. There are many humanoid species in the galaxy, from what I understand. Ambassador, Queen Mina said, her voice solemn. I believe humans and Valens have more in common than we realized. Your species' adaptability, your problem-solving approach, your endurance. These are qualities the Valen Empire values highly. That evening, Jin was invited to a special council meeting. The Queen's advisors had gathered to discuss the future relationship between humans and Valens. Jin sat silently as they debated in their own language, with Sue occasionally whispering translations to him. Finally, Queen Mina addressed him directly. Ambassador Jin, I have a request. Would you share with my council the greatest challenges humans have faced and overcome? Jin thought carefully before speaking. There have been many dark periods in our history. Global wars that killed millions, plagues that wiped out large portions of our population, times when we nearly destroyed ourselves through our own actions. The council members listened intently as Jin described human history, the setbacks and struggles, but also the resilience and progress. The remarkable thing, Jin concluded, isn't that we faced these challenges, but that we learned from them. After each disaster, humans came together to build something better. We're still learning, still making mistakes, but we keep moving forward. When he finished, the council chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Queen Mina stood. What humans call normal, this constant adaptation and improvement, is what Valens would consider extraordinary. The ability to face extinction and still maintain hope for the future is rare in the galaxy. She approached Jin and placed a ceremonial medallion around his neck. This is the symbol of understanding. It represents the moment when two peoples truly see each other clearly for the first time. Jin touched the medallion, feeling its weight and significance. Thank you, Your Majesty. Tomorrow, the Queen said, we will discuss a formal alliance between our peoples. But tonight, I want you to explain something else to me. What's that? Jin asked. Queen Mina's eyes held genuine curiosity. This human concept called humor. Sue tells me it is another form of resilience, but I find it difficult to understand. Jin smiled. Well, that might be the biggest challenge yet, but I'll try my best. As Jin began explaining jokes and laughter to the puzzled Valens, he realized that building understanding between different species might be his most important mission yet. The gap between human and Valen perception was wide, but not unbridgeable, and that gave him hope for the future. The grand hall of the Valen mothership had been transformed for the signing ceremony. Colorful banners hung from the high ceiling, representing both Earth and the Valen Empire. Jin stood next to Queen Mina at the center of the hall, facing representatives from both their worlds. After weeks of negotiations, the alliance between humans and Valens was about to become official. Jin wore his formal Earth uniform, updated with the symbol of understanding medallion the Queen had given him. Queen Mina was dressed in ceremonial robes that shimmered with colors that changed as she moved. Today marks a historic moment, Queen Mina announced to the gathered crowd. For the first time, the Valen Empire recognizes a new species as equals and partners in our journey among the stars. Jin looked out at the audience. The Earth delegation had arrived 2 days ago. 10 humans who stared in wonder at the Valen ship and its inhabitants. Among the Valens, he spotted Su, who gave him an encouraging nod. Queen Mina continued her speech. We have learned much from Ambassador Jin. Humans possess qualities that our ancestors called the awakening, not magical powers as we once believed, but something perhaps more valuable. Adaptability, resilience, and determination. She turned to face Jin. In recognition of these qualities, the Valen Empire officially designates humans as awakened ones, a title of great respect in our culture. Murmurs of surprise spread through the Valen crowd. Jin knew from Su that this title had never been given to any other species. The Earth delegation's leader, Director Hana, stepped forward to sign the treaty document. She was a small woman with a commanding presence who had been skeptical when Jin first reported the Valen's fascination with human resilience. On behalf of Earth, we accept this honor, Director Hana said, and we recognize the Valen Empire as our friends and allies among the stars. As the official signing took place, Jin thought back to the events that had led to this moment. What had begun as a simple diplomatic mission had turned into something much more significant when the Valens discovered that humans possessed traits they had long considered mythical. After the ceremony, Jin found himself in a smaller chamber with Queen Mina, Director Hana, and several key advisors from both sides. Ambassador Jin has served Earth well, Director Hana said. His actions during the ship crisis saved many lives and opened the door to this alliance. Queen Mina nodded in agreement. Indeed, the ambassador's demonstration of human capabilities changed our understanding of your species. Though I still think you overestimate us, Jin said with a smile. No, the Queen replied firmly. We underestimated you at first. Now we see more clearly. Ta, the Queen's chief advisor, stepped forward with a data device. We have prepared information packets about the Valen Empire for Earth's leaders, including our star charts, cultural history, and technological knowledge. Director Hana accepted the device. Earth offers the same in return. We believe that sharing knowledge benefits both our peoples. Later that evening, a celebration was held in the ship's main gathering hall. Humans and Valens mingled, sharing food, drinks, and stories. Jin watched with satisfaction as the two species began to form connections. Su approached him, carrying 2 cups of a glowing blue drink. The humans seem to be enjoying our celebration, she said, handing him one of the cups. Jin took a careful sip. The drink was sweet with a slight tang that reminded him of citrus. They are. Director Hana told me she's already planning student exchange programs between our worlds. And Queen Mina has commissioned a new research center dedicated to studying human adaptability. Su added, many young Valens have requested to join the project. Jin looked across the room where Queen Mina was deep in conversation with Director Hana. I never expected my mission to lead to this. The Queen has also been sharing what she's learned about humans with rulers of other systems, Su said. Your reputation is spreading quickly throughout the galaxy. Jin raised an eyebrow. Is that good or bad? Sue laughed, a musical sound that Jin had come to enjoy. Mostly good, I think, though some species may feel threatened by your adaptability. The celebration continued late into the night. Before it ended, Queen Minna called for attention one final time. Tomorrow, Ambassador Jin will return to Earth with the treaty and our gifts of knowledge, she announced. But this is not an ending. It is the beginning of a new chapter for both our peoples. She raised a ceremonial cup to the future of humans and Valens, together among the stars. Everyone raised their cups in response. The next morning, Jin prepared to board the Earth ship for his journey home. Queen Minna and several Valen officials came to see him off. You will always have a place here, Ambassador, the Queen said. We hope you will return soon. Jin bowed. I'm sure I will. There's still so much for our peoples to learn from each other. Sue stepped forward and presented him with a small crystal sphere. A gift, she explained. It contains images of our homeworld. So you will remember us. Jin carefully placed the sphere in his pocket. I couldn't forget if I tried. As Jin walked up the ramp to the Earth ship, he turned for one last look at the Valens who had come to mean so much to him. Queen Minna stood tall and regal. Sue smiled warmly, and the others watched with respect in their eyes. Once aboard, Jin took his seat near a viewport where he could see the massive Valen mothership. Director Hannah sat next to him. You've done remarkable work here, she said. When you first reported that the Valens thought humans had mystical abilities, many of us thought it was a miscommunication. Jin smiled. It was, in a way. They were looking for something magical, but found something real instead. And now we have powerful allies and access to technology centuries ahead of our own, Director Hannah said. All because you showed them what a human can do in a crisis. As the Earth ship pulled away from the Valen mothership, Jin watched the great vessel grow smaller in the viewport. He thought about what the future might hold now that humans were known as awakened ones throughout the galaxy. What had begun as a simple misunderstanding about human capabilities had become the foundation for peace between worlds. Jin found himself looking forward to his next mission, perhaps helping other species understand humanity's unique place in the cosmos. The Earth ship entered hyperspace, leaving the Valen mothership behind, but carrying the promise of a new alliance that would change both their worlds forever. The end. After Sue left, Jin sent a message back to Earth, reporting on his first meeting. He ended by noting the Valens seemed to have strange ideas about human capabilities. This might be useful in negotiations, he thought. The next morning, a loud alarm jolted Jin awake. Red lights flashed in his room. Sue burst in, looking panicked. Ambassador Jin, there is an emergency. The Queen requests your presence immediately. Jin quickly dressed and followed Sue through corridors now filled with hurrying Valens. They reached the throne room, which had transformed into a command center. Screens showed what looked like a massive storm approaching the ship. Queen Minna saw him and gestured him forward. Ambassador, your ship detected this energy storm before our sensors did. How is this possible? Jin looked at the readings. Our ships are designed to detect subtle space disturbances, Your Majesty. It's something we developed after several close calls early in our space exploration. The Queen looked at him with new interest. Then perhaps there is truth to some of the stories. You will join my advisors in planning our response to this storm. Let us see if human adaptability is as remarkable as claimed. Jin nodded, already studying the storm data. The real test of humanity's worth to the Valen Empire was about to begin. The energy storm passed without causing major damage to the Valen mothership, but Queen Minna had been impressed by Jin's suggestions during the crisis. 3 days later, she summoned him to what the Valens called the testing grounds, a large, circular chamber deep within the ship. Jin arrived to find the Queen standing with several advisors. The chamber was divided into different sections, each looking like a different environment. Ambassador Jin, Queen Minna said, her voice echoing in the large space. "I wish to better understand human capabilities. My people have prepared some challenges for you." Jin looked around cautiously. "What kind of challenges, Your Majesty?" "Nothing that would cause permanent harm," she assured him. "We simply want to observe how humans respond to different situations." Jin nodded, though he felt uneasy. "I'll do my best." The first challenge was in a section designed to look like a desert. The temperature was uncomfortably hot, and Jin could feel sweat forming almost immediately. "This chamber is set to the temperature of our colony world Kai," explained Ta, the Queen's advisor. "Most species cannot function in this heat for more than a few minutes." Jin wiped his brow. "It's hot, but similar to some regions on Earth. What am I supposed to do?" "Simply solve the puzzle before you," said Queen Mina, pointing to a complicated mechanical device in the center of the sandy area. Jin approached the device. It was a series of interlocking metal pieces that needed to be rearranged to form a specific pattern. The metal was hot to the touch, but Jin worked steadily, ignoring the discomfort. After 15 minutes in the heat, he completed the puzzle. The Valens watching him murmured in surprise. "Most interesting," said Queen Mina. "You appear uncomfortable, but still fully functional." Jin smiled weakly. Humans are good at working through discomfort when necessary. The second challenge took place in a cold chamber. Jin was given a thin jacket, but the temperature was well below freezing. His task was to build a small shelter using only the materials provided, some metal rods and thin sheets. His fingers grew numb, but Jin worked systematically. He had done winter survival training before becoming an ambassador. Within 20 minutes, he had constructed a basic but effective shelter. Queen Mina watched with growing interest. "You are shivering, yet you continue to think clearly. Explain this." Jin rubbed his hands together for warmth. "Humans evolved to handle temperature changes. Our bodies try to maintain a constant internal temperature even when the outside environment changes." The third challenge was different. Jin was led to a section filled with obstacles and told to reach the other side as quickly as possible. As he started, bright strobe lights began flashing, and loud, disorienting sounds blared from hidden speakers. Jin paused, feeling dizzy from the sensory overload. Then he took a deep breath, focused his eyes on the ground directly in front of him, and began moving forward methodically. He stumbled several times but kept going until he reached the end. The lights and sounds stopped. Jin looked up to see Queen Mina staring at him with an expression he couldn't quite read.